it brings upon this other conversation I had with my father the other night. It was like, my father asked me, hey, like, what are we going to do with kind of like AI taking over humans in the near future, right? And I think people are very, very stuck on this whole concept of AI replacing humans. But if you kind of break it a step further, it is in fact what it is like is humans who uses AI replacing humans who don't use AI.
That's exactly
who created AI. Humans created AI, right?
Right.
So it's, in other words, it's the elite replacing the non-elites,
aka next evolution.
Exactly.
My man got some interesting kicks on. What are those? It's the Adidas foam pods?
Adidas foam pods, yeah. These are like limited editions too. So
dude,
like,
those are fresh, bro.
Yeah, man.
You a sneakerhead?
Not really. I just like sometimes I just come across like shoes that are out of serendipity and I'm just like, wow, this is so cool and this would fit a lot of my outfit and just go for it. You know?
Really?
Right.
How many pairs you got at the crib? Be honest.
We're like,
man's lying
like
already.
Three go-tos.
Why are you lying on cam already, bro?
Oh man, come on, man. It's like
still got 3 go-tos. Go to the closet. You got like every color.
Bro, I got a lot of decisions to make, so I'm trying to limit myself to a few options only, you know what I'm saying?
That's a great theme.
Right.
I think that's the theme of what we're going to talk about today is, you're talking about focus, narrowing. Narrowing, that reminds me of a quote, Ursula Le Guin.
Right.
When you limit your options, the path of a man becomes not what you can do, but what you must do.
Right.
Feel me? So I think you're on that type of time right now, right?
Yeah. Well, a lot of some of the greatest creations out there come with a lot of constraints to work around with. Even with the world we live in today, there's physics involved. So all the innovations, technological innovations, are working around the physical
constraints, physical limitations,
right? Limitations and all stuff. And to some extent, some of the greatest art pieces out there. The artists out there, they're able to maneuver with these constraints or even play around with these constraints.
Manipulate it, bend it.
Yeah, even time as a constraint is something that people work around with. Everybody's given a deadline to put the greatest piece of art they could, right?
Right. That's you speaking my language.
Right.
I love using art as a vehicle to communicate, drive social change, create transactions. As you know, art is one of the first tokens.
Right, 100%.
Art is one of the first tokens, and not only art, we're gonna go into like gemstones.
Right.
How before there were Rolexes, how else are you moving X amount of millions?
Right.
You're just using a little gemstone. Right in the pocket.
Right.
So art is another one. It's like that John Wick scene, right? Like he blew up the spot and he walks out with like a Van Gogh in his hands.
Right. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so we're here. Thank you, Andrew Fai in the building. Crypto, Web3, blockchain, NVIDIA lanyard on the neck.
Yes, sir.
NVIDIA, sorry, NVIDIA. Jensen Huang on speed dial, I'm sure. My man is here. Talk to me about how would you describe yourself? What do you do? What do people know you as?
Right. So for the most part, people know me as the founder and organizer of Asia Blockchain Summit.
Fire.
And we started way back in 2018. Before then, I was a financial advisor at Waddell & Reed back in Los Angeles, which I lived in LA for like 8+ years and decided to move back.
Explains the swag.
Yeah, I was planning to move back around 2017. And the main reason was because my grandfather wasn't doing too well at the time. And I thought about making a decision along the lines of either I stay in LA, which is really beautiful and a lot of opportunities, or I go back to my homeland and be able to spend more time with my grandpa.
Nice.
And try to be a better grandson, for the most part.
That's real, bro. That's real.
And also my parents are in Taiwan as well. So
You're fully Taiwanese?
Technically, I am born in the States. I was raised in Taiwan, but my lineage comes all the way from Shandong. China.
Shandong?
Yeah.
Wow. Very
Right,
cool.
right.
You look mixed though.
Yeah,
I'm sure
maybe.
people tell you that all the time, right? You're like half Samoan.
or maybe Mongolian blood, Genghis Khan blood.
Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. Ex NFL player vibes.
Well, I don't know about that, but just trying to. Yeah, I'm a big bodybuilding guy and
Nice.
just loving.
Nice.
You know,
We're gonna talk about that
stuff.
later. How that kind of like blends into, high pressure work environments, which I'm sure
100%.
you are since you're dealing with.
Yeah.
When you're in fintech, I'm sure you're dealing with high stakes all the time.
Right.
So you need that good outlet,
Yeah.
healthy outlet to channel that excess energy.
Yeah, just to kind of like bring back to where I was with kind of the transition from LA to Taiwan. I made a decision to kind of leave my job as a up and coming financial advisor, and decided to go to Taiwan to spend more time with my grandfather. It wasn't around the same time. I took upon this MIT Media Lab FinTech certification course.
Wow.
And it was, I think they had two courses that was available online for this one single year. And to this day, I still kind of hang out with some of the friends back in those cohort. There was a lot of senior management people and kind of all bonding together. And it was around the time I really learned about blockchain. It was around 2017.
2017.
Right. Yeah.
Early for the public, right?
Yeah, early for the
People
public.
didn't know nothing about that at 2017.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, people knew. I mean, I've heard about Bitcoin way back in 2009, back when I was freshman year in UCLA.
Dope.
And it was funny because I was trying to get some study pills out of this one person. He was like, "Hey, I take Bitcoin." I was like, "Well, what is Bitcoin?" And that kind of got this curiosity of me learning more about this cryptocurrency. But
The gateway drug.
The gateway drug, or kind of like the digital currency.
I was in New York at that time.
Really?
And I remember like they were in this, in Wall Street.
Right.
Remember there was like some Bitcoin shops. And,
Right. Yeah.
And there was like Occupy Wall Street was going on, and kind of in the segue into like now Bitcoin is like, well, there's loony people. There's loony people, crazy people on the streets talking about a digital coin.
Yeah.
And now look at these motherfuckers.
Well, the thing is, like, Bitcoin has a pretty shady history, not gonna lie. But it was a shady history because of how it was proliferated in the beginning, right? So, but I'm gonna talk more about kind of like the purpose and reason why I believe Bitcoin should exist and why it is beautiful that it exists of today.
Right.
But before I go there, I just want to cap it up of kind of my little background, just so we can move the conversation a little forward here.
Right.
All right. So after I finished the MIT FinTech certification, that's really learn about kind of blockchain, and also at the same time learn much more about Ethereum, right? And that was when kind of like I came across Vitalik Buterin online, and I saw this really bright, 18, 19-year-old kid who was like talking about, the internet for computers, the future of digital economy, and also the utilization of smart contracts and a decentralized code is law future. And I was like, okay, this is very, very interesting. This is very, very different from what I know about Bitcoin. This is now like a full-on new internet, like internet 2.0. Right? That's what I immediately thought that, this is the future. And at the same time, I also did my Series 7, and there's a lot of these reservations around securities law and all sorts of not trying to be very careful with kind of any kind of securities or of all sorts. So I was kind of taking on a precautionary stance on crypto at the time. But then, my grandpa wasn't doing too well, and I was given this one-shot big decision and decided to kind of move back to Taiwan in 2017. Right, and thus far, has been the single best decision I've made in my entire life,
dope.
ever. Right, ever. So once I came back, I was hanging out kind of with different people, but I never really I really want to get to know the crypto community, local community back in Taipei, just so I can get my feet a little wet and understand a little more about like what's happening. It was around a time when like the ICO stuff was happening, initial coin offering, everybody started issuing their own tokens and stuff. And I came across this. I came across my buddy who went to the same high school. He's my junior. His name is Chris, and he runs this company called Mr. Block.
Nice.
I was one of the early guys to help him out, kind of build this whole media influencer brand that he got going on. And it was around 2017, and we were just doing a bunch of interviews with different influencers, and we were kind of like talking to different CEOs back of this initial coin offering days and trying to get a little bit allocations here and there and trying to get more deeper understanding about the implications of this whole crypto ecosystem of sorts, right?
Right.
And we start traveling overseas and going to like Singapore for 2049, and also going to Singapore FinTech Festival, and going to Hong Kong and Korea for the economy and Korean Blockchain Week, and went to all sorts of different. We also went to London for this, blockchain summit of sorts. So immediately we kind of like we start getting really inspired by going to these events and networking and meeting the different types of people, and start realizing, okay, this ecosystem, this industry is growing at its infancy stage, right? Although it did feel like this some kind of MLM vibe in the beginning, a multi-level marketing vibe in the beginning. But then people are very driven by what they believe, which is a future of a decentralized future, where you can really own a digital asset that's not controlled by anyone.
Sovereignty.
For
Full
sure.
sovereignty.
Yeah. So
word is bond. You get to grab your own.
You got to own
balls. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's just my New York analogy to it.
For sure. But at the same time, it's like you can have privacy around too.
Exactly.
That's a really big key, right? So so what happened afterwards was like, so after we started visiting all these different conferences around the world, I was like, all right, we should have we started talking like, hey, we really need to have an international summit or conference of sorts in Taipei.
And nothing existed yet?
There was a very small scale. It was not like everybody's kind of like going for that, that nobody's shooting the stars at a time.
No one was bringing the heat, the swag,
the
swag,
LA, the international
takeover mentality.
Yeah,
that's dope.
Yeah, nobody's attempting to go for like the global spotlight. Nobody's attempting to go for the most influential of people of that day. So I thought about, okay, so we want to do a summit of sorts of that can really bring together the most talented, the most influential, and the visionaries of crypto to Taiwan, right?
Kind
And it was around the same time I met up with a crypto congressman, Jason Shu, who was a congressman at the time. So we were kind of chatting, and he was like, hey, Andrew, seems like you're very knowledgeable, with your background as a financial advisor in your MIT FinTech stuff. Why don't you help us kind of, look over the FinTech sandbox regulation that has some specific considerations of cryptocurrency as a whole.
Nice.
And I kind of, I've participated in some discussion, and thus far I would say that it's really good that Taiwan is taking a stance to position cryptocurrency as a commodity,
right,
without kind of designing a specific, without over-regulating, it at all. It's given definitely a big opportunity for a lot of people to innovate, and that is really good that Taiwan's made this decision, right?
Wow, that's cool.
Right. And
so they're very forward thinking in that.
Super forward thinking. Well, like, I think a lot of, like, from my impression of Taiwanese regulators so far is that they will reference a lot of regulatory considerations from, for instance, Singapore and Japan, and even in the EU, and even as well US, and trying to come up with their own. Like, it's kind of like juxtapositioning their different regulations of sorts and coming up with their own. But the drawback of that is that you lose the core essence of why these regulations were designed into place. Right. So like you can be a DJ, kind of like mixing all cool music together. But if you're given the opportunity to make your own original music, you kind of need to go deeper on understanding why each piece of sound was put together in the first place.
I love that you say that, because then that's going into the realm of process,
Right? Exactly.
and inspiration, and essentially the why.
Right.
The why, the what motivates you, essentially.
Right.
What's your why, Andrew, right now in this space?
Right. So my biggest why is to, I think my life's calling is to do events that could potentially influence the future of myself and the people around me. And I truly believe that if you put together the right people, put together the right ideas, you can seriously influence the future of humanity. If you do it right. So with that in mind, I truly believe like hosting events, organizing, networking of sorts is my life's calling.
Nice.
And I think I'm definitely a people's person for sure, and being able to identify kind of like how each individual's person's brand, when mixed together, can create something much different altogether, which goes into the point I want to make about designing conversations.
Ooh, that's fire.
Yeah, so that's what's really fun about organizing a summit.
Designing conversations.
It's about designing conversations.
Ooh, that's a nice term, bro.
Right. So designing conversations is about putting together maybe controversial points, or even putting together different people to articulate more on a nuance in terms of communication about their own viewpoints on things. I think it's a really enlightening experience when you kind of bring together people who spend a lot of time thinking through about their decisions and their philosophies and their beliefs on things.
That gets me excited because, growing up in New York City, a lot of I guess you could say creatives that I knew were in the restaurant industry,
right?
Hustling in the restaurant industry, pursuing their dream. Working in the day, pursuing their dream in the night, or vice versa.
Right.
But there's something about the art of setting the table or bringing people together that I think is very underestimated. And when you say designing convos connected to your summit,
right,
I just imagine you like curating exactly who sits next to who.
Yeah, exactly.
To the point where you're fostering
the sparkle.
Some sparkle. You're fostering some kind of nuclear reaction.
Okay.
Right? Like you're sparking some things.
Yeah.
That's fire. What's the name of the summit officially?
Asia Blockchain Summit.
Asia Blockchain Summit. Right. You have this every year, or is it?
Well,
what's the time?
We've had the first one in 2018, and we brought in CZ of Binance, and we brought in Arthur Hayes and BitMEX, and most people probably know about we hosting this debate, this debate of Arthur Hayes and Dr. Noor Albini, and that happened at ABS. It's called Tango in Taipei in 2019, and that was kind of like what put our event, or put ABS on the global spotlight, where one single debate between Dr. Doom, which is super negative on crypto, versus...
His name is Dr. Doom?
Well, Dr. Doom is his nickname.
Oh, Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom.
That's dope.
Noor Albini, and then versus Arthur Hayes, who's like, who I think he's like a Warren Buffett of crypto of sorts.
Nice.
He's like kind of like got this playboy lifestyle and all sorts of things, and he's a cool guy, very smart.
Nice.
Writes brilliantly and analyzes the markets.
That's fire.
Great personality too.
And hold up, so you put these guys on, like, I feel like you're promoing this like a fight night, like
it's
Dr. Doom, and then what's the other guy's name?
Arthur Hayes.
Yeah. Showdown debate.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right.
How did that go? Who won?
Well,
there's no real winners, but it's because it's
right. Without going too much into details, when we onboarded Arthur, we had to agree to not record and not distribute the recording of the debate.
I
So
like how you said that. So,
Right.
some words were said.
some words were said, but the recording was made available later.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah.
There may be some editing involved, but
There may
I
or
would
may
say-
not be some edit.
Yeah, but I would say I think Noura Rabini put together some really, really great arguments. Is really
Nice.
well researched, and definitely Arthur. It's here's the thing. Like original debate was structured for 30 minutes, and the CEO at the time, Angelina Kwan, was like, "Yo, we brought all these international guests over, and all our friends are here. Can you just make it a little longer?" I was like, "All right, we'll move around the agenda, kind of like cut short at lunchtime, and we decided to kind of add in another 30 minutes.
Can
make
we
it
go
an hour.
12 rounds of fighting, please?
Right, can we go 12 on the song, right? So I was like, but that's when like after 30 minutes, things went off script. That's when things got crazy.
Wow.
Right, and that's where some of the craziest things were asked. Like the
That's crazy.
the moderator Andrew Neal, who was like, "Yo," he asked Arthur straight up, "So what? How much did you spend bribing the Seychelles government, which is where BitMEX is registered?" Arthur was like, 2 coconuts. And then
Game of chess.
that blew up.
chess.
And apparently the Seychelles government got super mad about that statement. And BitMEX got some trouble after that because Rubini went after them, all sorts of things. And BitMEX was like, at a time, BitMEX was like a number one leverage cryptocurrency exchange. And like Binance was kind of like copying all their stuff at a time. And there was like this other third exchange called FTX was kind of following up. And actually, like, I got an interesting history of FTX. Like, I've known about Sam Bankman-Fried like way back his Alameda research days, and his first ever major event that he's ever sponsored or ever put like FTX exposure was at ABS. And even if you go on his Twitter timeline and you search the letters ABS, you quickly realize that was the major single event that changed his viewpoint of what FTX could become.
Oh, wow.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So every year ever since then, FTX always sponsored ABS, and I've helped him hire some of the people at a time as well, and brought together some really great investors. And although I am quite a victim of what has happened, but
Right.
I would like to say, I mean, he's a legend. He's a notorious legend of his own kind, I think that well, history will tell.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
I think I'll go on record and tell you too. Like,
Right.
regardless of the result
Right.
and what people say publicly,
Right.
there are so many nuances and so many things happening that we don't know and cannot see.
Right.
That I think for anybody to make value judgments,
Yeah.
it's just premature. Because the reality is, he really changed.
He did.
He changed the game.
Right.
I mean, this is its own philosophical debate amongst many people because it's like, I think of the movie Catch Me If You Can, right?
Right.
And it's like that guy ends up working for the people who cut. It gets very convoluted. So the point is like, I mean, it's tricky. It's tricky, right?
It is tricky,
because
yeah.
people are trying to really. People are really trying to push the culture, push humans forward. They're trying to evolve financially.
Right.
And I think you talking about this debate is fire because I think a key point about blockchain,
Right.
from what I understand,
Right.
is transparency
Yeah, sure.
and
100%.
accountability.
Right. Yeah.
And I think this thing,
Right.
whatever, and we can talk about it. I know you're way more an expert than I am, but like
Right.
transparency is a very revolutionary financial tool
Right.
that I think makes a lot of people scared
Right.
and liberates a lot of people. And then here we are
Right.
in crypto, which is like, I can see where you sense your money. It's like you can't.
Yeah, you can't hide.
So it starts to change the human, right? The human starts evolving.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it's like like we're going perhaps into a dystopian future where like every camera out there can be connected to a central server where we're always under surveillance. Right. So it is very possible that you are sooner or later you are basically naked because you're monitored everywhere you go. In the physical realm, right? And when it comes to kind of cryptocurrency, yes, all transactions are made available to be verified on the blockchain, and you can maybe preserve some anonymity by not informing people about which specific addresses you own.
Right.
But at the same time, like this level of transparency is great because now you can establish your own identity on chain, right? How can you, for instance, like if you want to stay anonymous, like, and you don't want to like use your own real name, but at the same time you want to let people know that you as an anonymous identity, you have the money, you have the culture. What would you do? Or well, what you do is you show people that you own, some crypto of sorts in the address, and maybe you own a couple of different NFTs to showcase kind of like what kind of preference of art you like, and kind of record some stuff on chain to kind of detail kind of like what are your thoughts about the future of crypto, future of blockchain, and etc. So it is a great way to kind of create your identity on chain, as opposed to kind of like storing all your data and files on, for instance, Google Drive or at a bank that we use. What crypto has allowed is allowing people to verify that you actually own these digital assets.
Right.
Right.
How does that, I guess, get you excited or hyped? Like, what about that gives you energy?
Right. So I think it brings down to kind of like why Bitcoin was created in the first place. So Satoshi Nakamoto is the creator of Bitcoin, right? And he released the product, the Bitcoin. He released Bitcoin around 2008, 2009, around the time when we went through a major financial crisis. The real estate bubble. I'm sure you've seen the Big Short. So everybody's like, there's a lot of fractional reserve banking. There's over leveraging going on with the real estate loans, etc. So what happened? What immediately happens is a lot of people got to know that like government is just creating money and allowing people to go haywire with basically infinite money.
Are we gonna talk about GameStop soon? No, I'm kidding.
I mean GameStop,
which is like, interesting, right?
Yeah, but I think it's like at the end of the day, the value of any currency of any sorts is built on trust. Right? If you have enough people to believe that this currency is valuable, then it is valuable. It is liquid. It is you can barter. You can skip bartering and use this currency to exchange for goods. Right? And if you have a government that has strong economic and policies and strong circulation of money within its own economy,
right,
then you can tell that this currency is liquid. It's like it's easily exchangeable for any kind of goods and services you want. So that kind of establishes trust. Right. And another way to establish trust is military power, but that's like more of a different way to strong arm to establish kind of value.
Right. Which is off cam we were talking about masculinity a little bit.
Right.
Shout out Andrew Tate.
Right.
Who's kind of leading the charge on that masculinity wave, top G. Because he's very controversial because he kind of says that thing which nobody really wants to admit, which is like, if you don't want to do something, you think you have a choice, right, but there are powers that be, right, aka massive amounts of men, right, strapped up with guns, that are gonna be like, nah, this is mine. I'm taking it. Right. So like, how does crypto hedge against that?
How does crypto hedge against the Matrix?
The legions of agents. I was gonna ask you, is Satoshi right? Who is Satoshi? Does anyone know yet?
Well, I think he's a combination of people.
Oh, Fai. So he's like a
I highly suspect it started by Dave Kleiman, and as well as maybe, although he recently lost the lawsuit, Craig Wright. Craig Wright was known as the fake Satoshi. I think they kind of started those ideas around kind of building a cryptocurrency that's hard money. You know, what do you mean?
Digital hard money.
What do you mean by hard money? So hard money is when like it's uncensorable. You cannot censor it. Hard money is when it is immutable by design. Like you cannot just change the financial transaction or reverse anything. Right? If you send it to a wrong address, you can't reverse it. It's just you shouldn't send the wrong address in the first place. Right? And also it is hard money when you're able to have some kind of privacy around it. You know. And also it's hard money when it is backed by mining power, right? It's backed by, you know, so just to kind of share a little bit more understanding, like, you know, the purpose of Bitcoin. The purpose of Bitcoin is to create an electronic peer-to-peer payment system, right? So what it comes down to is you need a people's money that's not controlled by any government. And that's where it comes, that's where Bitcoin comes, right? And people may be thinking about, oh, let's say it's a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, just like a whole speculation, all sorts of things. Well, I think it's better to kind of change your perspective around Bitcoin, to consider it as one of the greatest innovation of mankind that's created by a anonymous creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, until this day, right? And the great thing about him being anonymous is like now nobody could go after him because nobody knows who he is.
It's a crazy play. When you really look at it, it's a crazy play. I mean, you know, Lightning Eyes, right? Michael Saylor.
Yeah, Michael Saylor. Yep.
He's like a very big advocate.
Yeah.
I think does he own the most Bitcoin right now?
I think he owns about 1% plus. Yeah.
Is it the most of any walking human, or is it hard to track that?
Well, it's like Satoshi Nakamoto definitely owns more. I think Satoshi Nakamoto owns anywhere around 35%, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
But those coins are never moved.
Wow.
He was an early miner of Bitcoin. Right? Like Bitcoin mining started with just him and two other people. Right? There's only three miners kind of mining this. So, like in the beginning, there's always this centralization risk about like one of these miners kind of overtaking the entire network by having more computing power and kind of changing the record. Right? But I think Satoshi was very, very smart in terms of like who did he target initially in the beginning of kind of like getting people to use Bitcoin? He went to the cyberpunk blogs and announced blogs and announced about his creation of Bitcoin and invited people to start mining Bitcoin to start. I
didn't know that. So he kind of went really grassroots niche into those communities.
He went after the people he wanted to start. He didn't just tell all his other friends all those things. It's like he went to the cyberpunk community because the cyberpunk community needed something like this. They needed a digital currency that cannot be controlled and cannot be reversed by any centralized entity.
I feel like he gamified real life.
Well, he did. He did because the interesting thing is like so let's just think about things in terms of blockchain, right? So what is blockchain? So blockchain is a distributed ledger.
Right.
Okay, distributed ledger, in other words, is just like think about everybody owning an Excel sheet of transactions, accounting.
That we all have access to. We
all have access to, but once this accounting of transactions is put in place, you cannot change it. Or it can only be changed if the members running and operating this network decides to change it.
It's like karma. It's like karma on a digital like paper.
Sure. I mean, it's a probably recorded karma.
Recorded karma.
You got karma points.
It's crazy.
Right. So
that's what I mean. It's evolution, bro.
Yeah, it is. 100%. So like with understanding that there needs to be incentive, for people to record transactions of a currency forever, right? And this is when this whole tokenomics comes in place. This is when this creation of Bitcoin comes in place. Like, why would someone or why would a group of people continuously spend electricity to participate in this mining mechanism to first, number one, record and record and download and save a backup of all the transactions that has taken place in the past. And number two, participate in a computing competition with other miners to participate in this this network, right? And the reason is because as a miner, once you successfully solve or be the first to solve a mathematical problem that gets harder as more miners participate in the network, you get awarded Bitcoin. So to some extent, it's like, what is the value? What is the fundamental core value of Bitcoin? It is the entire electricity that's been used to mine Bitcoin. That is the fundamental value of Bitcoin.
I've never heard someone say it like that. That's super fascinating.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. So this makes so much sense now.
Exactly.
This is why Michael is lightning eyes. Because he's like, I own vials of lightning.
Yeah.
Electricity units, volumes of. Dude, that's crazy. You just blew my mind. So it's like we're collecting. Yeah. It's like we're collecting tears. We're collecting blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, blood, sweat, and tears. Yep. Exactly.
So and that's why. And how much is one Bitcoin right now?
Or 70K, 70K.
It's at 70 right now.
Yeah, 70K.
You guys had quite a journey these last few years. I mean, from 2020 to then the crash, the bear market, and now you're back to 70.
Right. I mean, when I first came across Bitcoin, it was around like $50. When I first came across it, I didn't buy it because I'm gonna ask my dad, "Yo, can you give me some money and just throw in a Bitcoin?" And he was like, "All right, let me consult my friend who's like the chairman of central bank in Taiwan." And the chairman of central bank in Taiwan was like, "Yo, this is like scam. Disregard it." But
human nature.
But in retrospect, like even with all kind of investment of sorts, if whoever's pitching you something or showing you something that you thought was really cool, and the individual is pretty smart, and maybe he's a relatively nice person or whatsoever, just put a little money in, just give him a little bit of support. You don't have to go hard and like sell everything and go all in on something. But it's like, if you feel like something is interesting enough that you learn something new with this individual, and he's actively trying to raise awareness or raise investment to kind of focus on his own cause, and just support him a little bit. You never know. Maybe down the line, this investment becomes something meaningful.
Right. I.e. Nvidia lanyard.
Yeah.
Even in 2020, that stock was chilling.
Right. So before kind of crypto, before I bought in, so I bought in Bitcoin around $450, and I bought in Ethereum at $3. Right. That was around 2016. Right. But before then, the craziest thing was like, I bought Nvidia around 2015-ish, back when it was $27. They recently did a stock split, so you cannot tell where it happened, but it was around $27. And like if we were to reverse the stock split, we're talking about like from $27 to like so like 1600 to like 1200 plus. It's like a massive, insane amount of gains just on Nvidia stock alone. But I sold it from 27 to $127 and around 2016, and went all in on Bitcoin and Ethereum.
That's fire.
And that was like, it was one of the major decisions I made. At the same time, like I also bought it in. I bought like 2015. I was so bullish on virtual reality. Like I was even waiting in a Samsung store when the whole first VR headset came out. I was like, wow, this is like the future and all those sorts of things. And I played around it. It was a little bit clunky, but I kind of realized that maybe the technology is not up to there yet, because the virtual reality I have in mind is like imagine what you're seeing right now with your own eyes,
right?
And imagine this vision all of a sudden changes to somewhere on another planet, but you're still physically in this position right now. That's the virtual reality I'm thinking about.
Oh, you're talking about like seamless environment manipulation. Like we can be sitting here and it's like click, we're chilling on on Neptune.
It's almost as if you're changing your eyeballs.
Interesting.
Right. Changing your eyeballs and you're seeing something completely different. It's like, wow, this is like, that's the virtual reality I envision it to be.
I love science fiction.
Right.
I think it's always been super prophetic.
Right.
So that's super dope. They're like, even I think crypto, blockchain, Web3
Right.
is very parallel to a new form of consciousness and how to experience quote unquote reality. Right. So it's like, I remember being, of course, here in Taiwan during 2020, Web3 was blowing up. People was copping Bored Apes. You know, it was NFT craze was going up. 2020 to 2021, I copped some NFTs myself. So like that was a first initial, I think, public educational experience. Like what everyone's like, what is Web3? What is NFT? What non-fungible token? What is that? I think people are more well versed now. But I remember talking to some of the key players in that space who have told me that these technologies existed prior to the kind of global marketing. So it's almost like it's part of this package of like tools. How do you see all those tools coming together? Like VR, AR, crypto, Web3, blockchain. It's like it's creating like a new human almost.
Yeah, well, it's always you're building on top of giants from the past, right? You're building upon great ideas, you know. So it's always like a constant evolution of newer ideas that's relevant to the people at that time. Right. It's like before NFTs, there was digital art. But digital art, the problem with digital art is that you can easily copy, duplicate, and send to other people. That's what's happening with kind of Napster stuff, like Napster, LimeWire. Like you can easily just like duplicate the MP3 file or WAV file and send it to other people. Right? There's no way to know the authenticity of this digital file. Like you can also change the files and stuff, right? But the beauty of kind of putting it on the blockchain or NFTs is that at least, you know, you most likely can still download the exact same file, but at least it comes with a digital certificate, which is what NFT is about. Because if you think about buying physical art, right? If you buy physical art, the most important thing is you owning this transaction record of the previous owner.
Provenance.
The provenance. So what NFT is about is just like the certificate of ownership, certificate of provenance. Right. And then it's made available on the blockchain, and you know where it transfers and how it transacts, and there's no way to create a duplicate copy of it depending on how it's designed. But for the most part, if it's a one-on-one NFT, then you know that it's going to stay with you on the chain forever. And that the beauty of that versus what we have in the physical realm was just like a paper with different signatures and transaction history record. You can easily kind of counterfeit it. With in the physical realm, but with blockchain you can't. It
goes back to trust, like you were saying.
Yeah. So how do you create a trustless environment, to transact? And this is what the beauty of cryptocurrency is about, right? Like you cannot have you can't have a blockchain that exists. It's been managed by a couple of different partners. Usually we call it consortium chain or private chain of sorts, but it loses the meaning of a public, a trustless, a anti-censor, a decentralized blockchain where if everybody owns a copy, it's really, really difficult to make duplicate, reversible, or censoring decisions, right? And this is when like this cryptocurrency comes in. It's because cryptocurrency or in the context of Bitcoin, the Bitcoin serves as an incentive for people to protect the network.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I think also there's a public opinion.
Right.
And of course, we hear about the bad actors in the space.
Right.
How is it that a system that is really founded on trust and transparency, how do bad actors manipulate that and then give it a bad rep?
Well, I mean, depends on how intelligent the bad actor is, right? He can be a good actor for as long as possible and earn all that reputation, and then do evil.
So I see what you mean. It's kind of like people blame crypto, but it has nothing to do with the blocks of crypto or blockchain or the blockchain.
Right.
You're saying those elements is like base reality.
Okay, so I think what you're describing is like there's a lot of scams happening on crypto. There's a lot of like fraud happening on crypto. Right, there's way more fraud and scams in cash, actually. You know,
This is a good point. I think we should go
way,
into.
way more. But the thing is, it's like, okay, the crypto has becoming more.
I call it the Wild West. It's like the new Wild West.
The new Wild West is because like the moment when a scam happens, the moment when a fraud happens, you see it on chain. But with these like paper trails or like these like international SWIFT transfers that are happening in a legacy financial system, you don't like you won't know whether it's a fraud or a scam until sometime later when it settles. But cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is instant settlement, so you know whether your money's been stolen away or etc. So that's a big difference. Like it's like money in real time versus money that's owned by a small number of people. You know, so
That's fire. So Andrew, for you, what do you feel like your beliefs are based on? I feel like you're very philosophical, and I met a lot of people in the crypto community,
right.
And I feel like you guys are cut from a different cloth. Like
Right.
you're more open. You just think differently. I feel.
Right. I think there's like always this like anarchist, crypto anarchist, like, DNA in me, or just like this anarchy vibe. Like just like I don't want to be like, I want to change the game, change the system. I want to do my own way, and I want to challenge all single beliefs. There's always that DNA inside of me, right? And this is the same DNA that kind of like bonds other early crypto OGs, early crypto holders out there as well. It's just like, being free, right? The pursuit of freedom. Like when the pursuit of freedom in terms of like being like having true freedom to owning the assets you truly own, having true freedom to speak your mind, speak your thought, speak your mind, and having true freedom to say what just freedom of speech. And also there's this new thing that's not necessarily a new thing, but there's also free will that's also really important. Just like being able to just believe in what you truly believe in and speak it out is a big deal,
Especially right now. I feel like that's under a lot of heat.
Yeah.
And what is it about being able to speak your free mind?
Yeah.
That's backed by assets. Like what does assets mean to you? Or we can go deep. Like what does money mean to you?
Right.
Define money. Define assets or define values.
Right. Man, this goes deep.
Beyond the hustle, baby.
Right.
I guess from how you see it naturally.
Right. I think that okay, so it brings up this what Elon said. Like he says that money is information.
I love that. I'm so happy you said that. That's actually what I was thinking about. Yeah.
Yeah, money is information. I'm still wrapping my head around like what he actually meant. But I would say like it brings upon this other conversation I had with my father the other night. It was like my father asked me, hey, what are we going to do with kind of like AI taking over humans in the future, right? And I think people are very, very stuck on this whole concept of AI replacing humans. But if you kind of break it a step further, it is in fact what it is like is humans who uses AI replacing humans who don't use AI.
That's exactly
who created AI? Humans created AI, right?
Right.
So in other words, it's the elite replacing the non-elites,
AKA next evolution.
Exactly.
So I love that.
Right, and which brings into why I was just what I want to say about kind of like money is information is because navigating this whole crazy world in the future where you have super smart, humans with AI and cyborgs and whatsoever sorts, like super intelligence that we're facing and encountering, like the number one important thing that's more valuable than money is actually information.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah, knowledge and power. Like even we are going to war, right? You need spies to kind of infiltrate and figure out what their strategy is and bring it back and re-strategize and kind of counter that strategy, right? So you need information, right? So I would say I think like Elon said that money is information. I would say information is more valuable than money. That's what I think. Or at the very least, like,
Oh, that's fire.
at the very least, like, information can get you more money, right? And then so I was talking to my dad. I was like, yo, so he's like, well, so what do we need right now? Do we need more money or more networks? I said that we need, number one, we need more information, right? We need the most up-to-date information. We need to know what's happening. We need to know all the trends. We need to stay on top of the game in order to survive what's coming. Once you got information, you can easily accelerate where you are by having a strong network of people. Because, you know, it's like you've heard the saying, your net worth is your network, right? So if you have people, if you have a strong network and you have all the information, then the third thing is money. Money becomes a leverage to speed things up, right?
Have you done any deals via Bitcoin or via crypto?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Because this is cool to me. Like I'm not in it.
Right.
Like I wouldn't. I'm open to learning more.
Sure.
I think many people are.
Right.
But practically speaking,
Right.
Are you like trading fast with people? Like you're getting people to do things. You're paying them in crypto.
Yeah,
it's quick.
Yeah, we do payments like for sponsorships for our event coming out this 6th and 8th August in Taipei Nangang Exhibition Center.
Right.
ABS.io. You know, little shout out.
You said
here.
August 8th?
August 6th and 8th. Yeah.
August 6th and 8th?
Yeah.
And then we go to VCon in LA.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah.
I bet.
Sure. You know, I'll welcome everybody listening to this podcast to come join ABS this coming August as well.
That's fire.
Right. Hit up Ivan, you know, for guest invitation. You know.
Did you just turn me into a promoter?
Yeah.
Well, I got the ticks.
It is life changing for a lot of people out there. It is very inspirational. You know, come for the ideas, come for the connections, come for
I'm the plug.
Inspiration here.
My man Andrew just made me the plug. If you guys need access,
100%.
hit our line.
Yeah.
We'll get you situated.
100%.
Red carpet right through. Nangang Center is nice too.
Yeah, it's like where Jensen Huang spoke at. It was like we're talking about like 40,000+ square feet. You know,
it's fire.
It's huge.
It's lit. It's lit. People who've never been to Taiwan, y'all got to come out to Taiwan just for August. Yeah. Trust.
You gotta come. And wait, where were we again? Why? I was thinking about why that shout out.
Well, I was talking about like you were paying people in crypto.
Yeah,
like
paying crypto. Yeah, so we take sponsorships in cryptocurrency. It's like honestly, like ever since the moment you start transacting in crypto, it's hard to go back to the legacy banking system.
That's fire. That's what I wanted to hear. So it's like hard. It's easier.
It's so fast. It's insane.
Can I get 10,000?
It's like 10,000.
ETH real quick. Yeah, I gotta do something.
Well, what you gonna do with it? What you gonna do with it? You gotta tell me what you. Give me a whole plan.
I gotta give you the roadmap.
You gotta give me the whole roadmap. Give me the whole plan. Lay down the vision. Like
I got a roadmap. I mean, but it's like that, right? It's like let me understand what you're gonna do with it. I bet I'm gonna wire it. It's like the fastest wire known to man right now.
Yeah, I mean, just it's about like smart money, right? It's just like you want to give smart money to smart people. So it's like
On that notion too, from my my research and some of my experience with some NFT projects, doing the creative direction for it, I love the aspect of smart contracts.
Yeah,
being able to honor the artists, being able to equally compensate people, and it's kind of like crypto is like this. It's not a zero-sum game.
Right.
The pie is large.
Right.
There's an abundance to make with each other, and everybody is getting acknowledged and fairly compensated along the way. Is that the vision?
Right. So when it comes to smart contract, okay, so let's think about, let's kind of, for people to understand what smart contract is, let's kind of talk about legacy contracts. So legacy contracts is like paper contracts, right? Everything is in paper trail. So you write down the terms, like if this happened, then this happened. You all write it on paper, and you have a lawyer reinforcing the rules written by a legacy legacy contract. That's why you will go to court, fight, and and figure it out how to get the terms honored, right? With smart contract is like you can set these terms into the blockchain itself, so that if you were to interact with a smart contract, you can automatically honor those terms like immediately. For instance, for instance, right, like for royalties, right? For royalties of all kind of artwork, right? Like, how do you reinforce royalties? Well, you have to, in the legacy way, it's just like you have to pay an intermediary. Intermediary splits the royalties to the artists and to other producers and et cetera, right? But in the smart contract, it's just like you can pay the money to the smart contract, and the smart contract just immediately distributes all these royalties.
Right into the addresses, the wallet addresses.
Yeah, so you remove this intermediary process, you can just automate the entire thing and just bake in those contractual terms into a on the blockchain.
Wow. Literally working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, I mean, or I would say like, working I mean, in the digital age, when such a technology is available, then you should totally embrace it for sure. Yeah.
Have you felt like your life has enhanced and improved?
Oh yeah.
Like since adopting this, going fully in?
100%. It's like, as I said, I think getting the crypto industry is my life's calling for sure. It's like, it's kind of weird, right? Because like after, I've always thought about like, so I went to UCLA, right?
Right.
Relatively prestigious school.
Right.
And I started off with like electrical engineering. I was studying kind of like all sorts of, programming and all sorts of hardware, physics and stuff like. And I got bored, right? I got really bored. It's like, I'm losing it because like, so what is, because I feel like there's something more important. And also as I've kind of delved deeper into engineering, I realized that I'm not reading as many books as I would like to. Mm-hmm. Everything is all scientific books. Everything is learning more about math. Everything is learning more about physics. Everything is learning more about applying the science you learn, right? But I think I lost touch with the whole literature aspect of life. And I think also there's a burning desire for me to make music at a time. The reason why I want to make music is because I feel it's like a freedom expression. It's like expressing yourself in sounds.
What genre?
Oh, well, initially I started with like EDM.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like I would say like when Avicii came out was when I started like, all right, this is amazing. Like I love Avicii.
I've attended a couple of Avicii concerts.
Yeah, I've been to Avicii. It's just unfortunate what happened
R.I.P.
to him.
Yeah,
Yeah, but at the same time, like I think that he's one of the greatest EDM artists alive for sure. One of the greatest artists in history of EDM for sure. But that's kind of got me interested into kind of learning more about producing on Ableton, producing on Logic, and that's I just feel like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna take like a whole year pause on UCLA on engineering and just focus on learning more about music production.
Nice.
Right? And I think that's been a more interesting decision on like following your passion.
Right.
I truly went through and followed my passion and kind of learned how to create music or EDM music, more specific here, learning how to play basic piano, MIDI keys and stuff, and synthesizing different sounds and compressing and mastering mixing different music, and kind of like being a DJ on the side. Right. But I kind of like reached a level of epiphany and said that, okay, like the most I could achieve, making music is probably to the level of like, maybe David Guetta or Steve Aoki or sorts, like, but it's all surrounding this party lifestyle and kind of losing touch of this intellectual side of things, having these intellectual conversations, right? And also being on top of the newest innovations. So I took a step back and said, you know what, I love music, I love EDM, I can totally see myself kind of rocking a DJ and being one of the favorites in the club, but I think I'm gonna lose it after a while because I'm surrounded by people who are constantly intoxicated.
Yo.
So, but I want to be surrounded by people who are on the path and journey to enlightenment or already enlightened themselves. So I made a decision and said that, okay, you know what? I've took 1 year off school, did music, and I had my fun. I think it's time to go back and finish school, and I decided to go back. But at the same time, I wasn't fully quitting music at the time. I was like, transitioning. I wanted to carve out some time for music, and so I decided to pick like a relatively, I decided to pick on sociology, at a time, and that's when like I started reading a lot more about kind of like social psychology. Start reading about like like Freud, Sigmund Freud, then id, ego, superego, and
Right.
I started learning about about Emil Durkheim on the state of anomy. I was like, there's a lot of different interesting ideas I've come across sociology that kind of broadened my perspective about like how ideas, how different idealism can influence the whole group of people. So on that, and after I kind of graduated with after I finished up with UCLA, I decided to get into shipping logistics. I was kind of learning how to sell shipping containers, and that was kind of like, and Bill Gates kind of recommended this book on the box, where he was talking about like the basic unit of trade around global commerce is shipping containers, the movement of shipping containers,
The basic building blocks of our economy.
Yeah, our economy is shipping containers.
Moving product from A to B.
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like
People underestimate that.
Yeah,
because we're so privileged. We're like kings of convenience. We all are now, and we forget that it runs on shipping containers.
Yeah,
which goes deep too, because you mentioned literature. Check this out, Andrew.
Right.
I remember I went to Hunter College, New York City, and one of my professors, our literature assignment was analyzing. Funny enough, you talk about a dystopian anarchist future, and he gave us a little chart to start off this exercise, and he showed us a graph on the population number pre-industrial revolution and after. So essentially, pre-discovery of how to use oil as a combustion powerful source of energy, and post. And you look at that population chart, and you see a rocket. Population increases, and we're going up. And it's crazy because then he segues to, at that time, Walking Dead was the big show. Walking Dead. And he asked us, he was like, why are we so obsessed with these zombie apocalyptic symbolic contents? And he said, because humans, this is his opinion, his take, humans are obsessed with visualizing their unconscious fears. So he said, when you look at Walking Dead, zombies eating each other, he asked us a question. He goes, there's some kid in the class, he had like a bag of chips. He's like, look at your bag of chips. What is this? Everyone's like, it's a bag of chips. He's like, no, it's not. This is oil. How did this bag of chips get to your desk? You got it at a grocery store. But who delivered it? What is the delivery running on? Trucks. What are the trucks running on? Boom, bring it back to the shipping container. Airlines, jet food. Everything is revolving around this transport, export, import. And then it's like you come to a city, millions of people living here. How are they getting all their food? Let's cut that off for 1 week, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Let's cut it off. How long before we're eating each other? And then the class is like,
damn, crazy. Okay.
The class, we all look over to our right. At the fat kid, and we're like, damn, that's the. I'm getting dark.
Oh, okay.
We're hungry. But my point is, not you though. You're gonna destroy motherfuckers if they come for you. But
I see some like back when I was younger. I mean, I'm kind of a chubby guy, and people made similar jokes, so I understand. I totally relate it. It's still funny though. I gotta say,
it's all good. I mean, people come at me all the time, but my point is just like, you're right. It's like most of our society is based on some of the most basic forms of exchange. Where do you think the future's going?
The future of how far of a future are we talking about?
Let's go back to like what you said about you're talking with your father about AI, and I think this is interesting because enlightenment, I think, can be achieved when people like don't need to worry about food, don't need to worry about where their money is coming from, and the hope is that AI is going to help people using AI is going to help them cultivate these these livelihoods where money's not a problem, food, shelter is not a problem,
Right.
and then we're focusing on what we love doing.
Right.
So it's like I hope to see a future where like 1 million people are enlightened at the same time.
Right.
What does that look like?
You know, I think and I hope that future looks like Star Trek.
Wow, talk about it.
You know, I've never watched full episodes of Star Trek and a full series, but I've always like watched like snippets and movies and kind of Spock talking about live long and prosper with that hand signature, signature hand gesture. I'd say like what Star Trek is about is like, you know, people working together on like expanding life onto other planets. Right, there's like a federacy. Like everybody's like there's abundance of everything. Like and it's a moneyless, classless society. Everybody is focused on the mission that expanding life to the entire universe. Right, discovering new life and expanding and preserving new life, and just everybody focusing on that. Right.
That's dope.
The beauty of that is like that that within that Star Trek society, like all diversity, you know, all diversity, all combinations of sorts. You know, there's no discrimination, there's no prejudice, there's no like it's classless. It's like everybody's working in harmony on kind of figuring out how to expand things life further, you know, to this entire universe that's also expanding itself at the same time. You know, so I feel like maybe that's the future. You know, it's like there's no money. Money doesn't exist. You know, there's no class. Like, there's no rich and poor. Everybody's the same, and everybody's focused. Most likely, everybody's in the uniform. Just kind of like having one single mission, which is to expand life. That's
fire. So you're behind that kind of philosophy.
I hope so. I hope that's the case. Yeah, because like a darker scenario, a dystopian scenario is like the most dystopian scenario is like humans become slaves
to AI.
Right? To AI, right? Humans become slaves to AI. Okay, that's like if you were to like visually picture that scenario, what it looks like is that imagine an AI is able to sustain, to give you immortality, but the way how it provides you with immortality is
cyborg.
It puts your cage, it puts your brain into a cylinder, into a cage, and feed it forever, and you don't even have the option to die.
Whoa.
Right.
Whoa.
You can live in that. You can live inside that fantasy of that, or even that AI can continuously torture forever until you redefine what torture and pain is into your mind.
Bro, I think you figured it out, bro. I think we're in that already.
Yeah, right. It's just like,
that's interesting,
right.
though. That's interesting because it feels like we're in this very important
right
crossroads.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, it's not to say there's been these crossroads in history throughout.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned freedom of speech. I think of like X.com, formerly known as
right.
Twitter, what Elon is doing. You know, I think of, it's 2024, by the way, just for a reference
right.
point. You know, there's some big political divisions,
right.
wars going rampant,
mm-hmm.
but at the same time, there's AI, revolution, and evolution.
Right.
So we're at this crossroads right now for human civilization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what a moment to be alive, for sure.
What a moment.
It was like, if we were like alive like 100 years ago, it's so different. It's like, you know what's interesting thing is like 100 years back, people thought the life we have today is sci-fi.
Yo, you literally said what I said this one time, and by the way, I tried to get him to drink before this. He
right.
didn't want to drink. I didn't drink. We're on pure water right now.
Yeah.
But I had this thought when I was on, you know, I did some shrooms back in the day, but I remember thinking to myself, like, we're living the life that thousands upon thousands of people only imagined.
Yeah.
And I remember it was because I watched that Will Smith, what was that, Will Smith Earth? It's like an Earth doc narrated by Will Smith.
Okay.
I forgot what it's called. But I remember watching that, and after I finished watching it, I'm like, dude, I just saw some shit that
right.
like the last thousands of years of human existence have lived and died without ever seeing that. So I think humans are now seeing and absorbing the most information we have ever been able to absorb.
Right.
So we're evolving rapidly, and I feel like people in crypto. Do you feel like people in crypto are the next kind of society that we should be gravitating towards?
Well, I need to say that cryptocurrency is a big giant experiment,
Okay.
right? Like there is a chance, there's a chance of a potential hostile takeover by the government of cryptocurrency as a whole. Like governments can shut down the mining facilities. Government
And
take over.
CBDCs, right?
It's issue CBDCs, and even like governments could figure out who the largest owners of Bitcoin, and
Seize it.
or they can try to force KYC across all addresses, and that's going to start a debate within the larger community, and maybe there's a potential of like starting a fork between down the line in the future. The government will want to take more control. It's like, let's think about like how can Bitcoin achieve $1 million a pop? Like the only way for that to happen is like governments start buying like crazy. Government start like inflating the hell out of the currency and going all in Bitcoin.
I have a question though. If governments,
Right.
I guess this is a loaded one,
Right.
because government is an experiment as well.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
100%.
As a whole, democracy, communism.
Yeah, it is.
But my point is like, are we at a turning point where if governments fully adopt blockchain cryptocurrency,
Right.
they have to change, they become something else, right? Like, so
Right.
what does a new government look like ideally?
Okay.
From what your community has talked about.
This is very interesting because like this brings into the Plurality Summit that we're also hosting within ABS. On August the 8th, we'll be hosting Plurality Summit. And Plurality is a vision where it's a vision where like everybody embraces open collaboration, everybody embraces transparency, everybody embraces the whole different diversity and reaching consensus as a whole. So the focus on Plurality is the group decision-making process.
Does that sound like a democracy?
That sounds like a new framework of democracy.
That sounds like some real democracy.
Democracy 2.0. Okay.
Whoa.
Right
You
there.
the first one that said that? I never heard
No,
democracy 2.0.
Democracy 2.0. It's like, well, I'm not the first to say that, but like,
But that's fire.
like Audrey Tang, the first digital minister of Taiwan, and also Glenn Wao, the author of Radical Markets.
That's fire.
And also, he's a head of research in Microsoft CTO's office.
This the wave they're on.
And he's also the inventor of quadratic voting and quadratic funding. So what is quadratic voting? So which brings into the pretty interesting topic about evolving democracy here, right? In the basic units of democracy, it comes down to identity, voting, and funding, right? You need to have identity, right? And you need to vote, and you need to fund your candidates in order for them to win the election, right? To do the marketing and to grow the community, right? So what Glenn Wall has proposed is an innovation around voting, right? Because right now, the way how we vote is on a paper trial of one person one vote. It's a legacy democracy system. Everything is on paper trial. Even like in the Constitution, like although I'm not fully understand everything in detail, but I believe the Constitution is not sufficient enough to cover the digital age we're living in.
Yo, someone needs to take that Constitution,
Right.
and we need to feed it to a
Right.
crazy fire Justice AI.
Yeah.
And then we need to edit it, and then we need to embed it into the blockchain.
Right.
And feel me? Like,
Maybe we need we need a Constitution 2.0. We need a democracy 2.0. We need everything
everything gotta just level up.
to be able to take on this AI fueled world that we're facing together, right? So
OD.
right.
OD.
So what Plurality is about is just like focusing on this group decision making process and just embracing all diversity, like all the rich, poor, middle, and also all different religious perspective. Also, everybody gonna focus on reaching consensus as a whole. And to some extent, what's happening on the blockchain today, for our instance with Ethereum, right? I'm sure you heard of the Ethereum Improvement Proposal, EIP, or maybe you heard of the Bitcoin Improvement Proposals, right? So what these EIPs and BIPs are is just like it's a minor it's a little update, or I would say a little introduction of a new standard of how to interact with the protocol. And one of the major EIPs that contributed to the tokenization in the ICO days, I'm sure you heard of the term ERC20, right? So NFT is ERC 721, right? So ERC20 is just the issuance of tokens on the blockchain, on Ethereum blockchain. And ERC 721 is also issuance of tokens, but it is mainly designed for digital art, right? And the reason why I bring this up is because it went through these token standards went through a democratic process of getting approved by the community. So what it started with, it was a bunch of community members, maybe in the developer community, they kind of proposed ideas about how they want to work around these standards, right? And they would talk it out on a Discourse forum, talk it out on Twitter, talk it out on all these open discussion, and then boil down to, hey, let's put together a proposal. And once the proposal is put together, they start fine-tuning the proposal and get people to vote on it, right? So this entire process, it can be seen as a plural collaboration, right?
It's an actual proof of concept of this system working.
Yeah, so it's actually okay. Okay, so it depends on how you see this thing. Like personally, I see it as democracy on chain, and they're saying like on chain is the new online. Okay, so if democracy on chain, then the final manifestation of democracy on chain is plurality, where everybody of all diverse background can participate on the decision-making process.
And this, of course, is going to make people in power nervous, because that's like oil and water, right? Our current system,
right?
It's like you can't mix. It's like a dictatorship cannot enter a democratic, because then they become non-existent almost.
Right. So like so the beautiful thing about kind of like transacting on chain is you can track the addresses, like where the money came from, right? So now you will know like which elite is backing certain decisions. Information.
You're better informed as a citizen.
Exactly. Right. And you can know, okay, if there's a manipulation, you can know, okay, you can be able to track these manipulation on chain, right? And back to kind of like to kind of democracy on chain. The more and more interesting thing about what blockchain can fulfill is this thing called quadratic voting, which is what I was talking about. So legacy democracy is one person, one vote, right? But with quadratic voting, think about it as you are given, instead of one vote, you're given 100 votes. You can distribute 100 votes across the 3 different candidates you have. So what that happens is, for instance, candidate 1, you can give like 10 votes. Candidate 2, you can give 40 votes. And candidate 3, you can give 50 votes. And when everybody starts doing that, it has a better expression of the bias around the candidates.
That's fire, because it's like, it's a spectrum of conviction.
Exactly. Spectrum of conviction. Bingo.
I like this guy, I'm giving him 20.
Yeah, exactly.
One doesn't really, like, it's like one doesn't, it's computing.
Yeah.
It's like one doesn't really express how much I like this guy.
Yeah. And it also makes it harder to bribe too.
Wow, how so?
Because like, if you only have one vote, you can only make one option, right? Make one decision. But now you have 100 votes. You'd be like, all right.
Oh, that's crazy.
All right, how many votes do you want to buy?
I see. You put a value on the vote. Yeah, so people are like, I only got 100. I can't give you 50 of my votes. Like, bro, you might gotta pay me for 50.
Just on that alone, it's just like it allows a whole spectrum of expression, a whole spectrum of bias to be
interesting.
To be so it's like. So hey man, like you think about it, like we have innovation identity, which is happening on blockchain, innovation on voting, which is happening on blockchain, innovation on funding, which is happening on blockchain, especially with the smart contract stuff. Now, what we're seeing here is just like we're seeing a new type of democracy kind of sprouting on chain right now. And the moment the government decides to bring and utilize blockchain for their entire framework of democracy, then boom, it's the future.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I remember Elon even mentioned that too. He was like, I forgot what he exactly said, but he was talking about how he kind of
Right.
upgraded the financial system for
Right.
the old legacy systems.
Right.
And he was like, bro, that shit is so slow. Basically, he was like, it's slow as hell.
Right.
And he's like, when you think about what most of everything's running on,
Right.
like you'd be surprised. There's still the hardware they're using, probably even the software they're using,
Right.
ancient,
Right.
archaic. So now we're in this point where it's like, you guys are like, yo,
Right.
this is here, this is the future, and we got baby boomers holding on for dear life.
Right.
Let's talk about a little bit. What's the challenge been? What has the challenge been like for you as a big advocate for this kind of new evolution for humans versus a person who's like, just like, nah, I'm not giving you my power. I'm not giving you my money.
Right.
Like, nah, I'm gonna hold it.
Right.
I'm gonna hold it till I die. I'm gonna spend it all till you know what I'm saying?
I had I had a conversation with so one of our speakers for ABS this year was this called Abhigya Anand. He's like the 17-year-old Indian astrology prodigy, and you may know him as Indu Sentong. So he's the one who predicted the bull market for crypto in 2020. He's the one who predicted the earthquake of Halian. He's also predicted some of the things that happen in Ukraine and things that happen in Israel. Like, he predicted all that.
Let's go.
You know, he's coming to ABS to talk about the cycle of life and cycle of events. What he's saying is
Fire.
like, we're gonna go through good times and bad times. So don't feel too good, or don't feel too bad when you're going through a good time. Or sorry, don't feel too bad when you're going through a bad time. Don't feel too good when you're going through a good time. So it's always a constant cycle.
Right.
So what I got out of it is it's like, okay, there's always going to be like a utopian, dystopian kind of future, kind of intertwining in the future.
Very Ray Dalio too.
Right. There's a cycle, right? You cannot have good times forever. And I have a feeling that we are entering the phase of a bad time.
So this is all prep. This is like preparation vibes.
Right. But this time, as we enter the bad time, we are provided painkillers to cope with it.
That's an interesting take.
And the painkillers are Instagram, the painkillers are Twitter, the painkillers are
Copium, mass copium.
Mass copium to deal with these bad times right now.
This is a perfect segue to spirituality.
Right.
Andrew, are you a spiritual man?
100%.
What's your take on spirituality? What do you live by?
Man, I don't know where to start. So I grew up in a Catholic school. You know, it's like Catholic school every morning. Every morning you have to pray. Our Father named Godfather named Heaven, and also as well as you have to attend mandatory mass events. So I've kind of like been through Catholic school for a big chunk of my life, at least for 13 years, including kindergarten. Right? Well, I went to Dominican International School. I'm not sure if you guys heard of it.
I actually went there in the 4th grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Crazy. Damn.
I was baptized. Yeah. White, navy blue.
Yeah, white, navy, blue. Wow.
Gray stone slide in the middle of the courtyard.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy.
How old are you?
33.
33. I'm 35.
Oh, cool.
That's crazy. I was probably like,
yeah, you probably met me. Yeah.
Probably low key. He's running around somewhere.
Right.
I was a legend in Dominican public school. I was a legend.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Most athletic, 4th grade.
A lot of good memories for sure. Yeah, so I kind of grew up in Catholic school all the way to high school. Went to UCLA, and that's when I got to UCLA, I started exploring different things. I got into study a little bit about Buddhism.
Yep.
I got more interested in Judaism, as well as I dabble a little bit on Hinduism.
Nice.
And I've never got my head around like Islam, but I've always kind of been like curious.
Right.
But then it's like what dawned upon me is like these different cultures, right? They are prepping their people to to advance their beliefs, of sorts. And if you were to take a whole step back from all the religions out there, what I've come to believe is we all live in this one single universe. So right now I've changed the way how I think about spirituality in the context of I believe everything that happens in my life is what the universe has intended. So I believe in the universe.
That's fire.
Right.
Synchronicities.
Yeah.
No coincidences.
Right.
Quantum connection.
Quantum connections. Yeah. Right.
I mean, I've always felt too like religion
Right.
is spokes on a wheel.
Right.
It's like kind of mystic. It's like very mystic. You've studied Judaism. It's very like it's like a Gnostic approach, a little bit Gnosticism, kind of mysticism,
Right.
which most of these religions are kind of based on. Is this idea that the truth is actually unobtainable.
Right.
The truth cannot be touched or seen, or it can be felt, I think. But then the religion is like the spokes on a wheel. It's like they all kind of relate to that center truth that we can only feel. We can't even really put it into words.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, maybe human language is a constraint itself. It limits the full range and spectrum of expression.
Will we achieve a telepathy on blockchain?
I think. Well, I'm not sure. Well, if you're open to kind of putting your thoughts on chain, sure, why not? Right?
Is that the next evolution? Are we putting thoughts on chain?
I'm not sure. Maybe not. It's just like
that's when blockchain becomes a new god. That's like a new god, right?
That's scary though, because you need to be mindful of what you think.
But then that's funny because you said Catholicism is like the first God is listening.
Yeah, it's crazy because you need to be super careful what you think.
Right.
Right, and basically, if you put your thoughts on chain, you have zero privacy.
Right.
You most likely become a
But this is where
robot of sorts. Yeah.
Right, and this is where I think it's interesting because digital science, technology is catching up to spirit science.
Right.
You can't lie to the universe.
You can't.
Technically. Mm-hmm. So our thoughts and our intentions are already being reverberated back.
Right.
Right? Ill intent breeds ill intent, vice versa. Great intent, upward spiral, downward spiral.
Right.
At what point does the digital match that?
Well, it comes down to, I believe there's a difference between the body, the mind, the soul. I believe there's a significant difference.
Distinctions.
Right? Distinctions, right? For instance, right, if I take off half your brain, I'm pretty sure you're not going to function the same way.
Definitely not.
100% not. Right. Even if I take away your body, I'm able to keep your head alive. You're going to be different. But at the same time, I think your soul is always going to be there unless you completely, you completely end the physical vessel that the soul has been contained, or you kill it, right? Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, it's I kind of as we enter the age of robots and potentially cyborg, right? Well, first, I think we're going to be seeing robots walking the street pretty soon.
Right. I mean, Neuralink is there too.
Neuralink's there.
Are you getting a chip or not?
Well,
that's just a big question.
That's a cyborg question, right? Are you gonna become a cyborg in the future?
That's what I mean. This is where we're at right now.
Because sooner or later, you're gonna start hearing your friends becoming cyborgs.
That's what I'm saying.
Because they want to get an edge. They want to be better. They want to move faster. They want to think smarter. They want to make more money than you.
The latency speed is too slow from thought to finger to keyboard.
Exactly. Yeah. Imagine you can use the computer with your thoughts. That's crazy.
And that's why I talk about telepathy, is because I'm curious if are humans, do we have biological technologies that we have that we've forgotten how to use, and technology is like a compensation for the lack of that. I mean, we can go deep because it's like, where do we come from?
Yeah.
Are we genetically engineered? Are we like, what's your beliefs on that? Feel me? Like Anunnaki, Planet Nibiru.
That's crazy. If you prescribe the belief of Darwinism, right, survival of the fittest, right, you believe like this evolution theory, right?
And that's super scientific.
Okay, well, I mean that's one school of thought, right?
That's true. You're right. That's one school.
It believes like humans evolved from chimpanzees, apes, and to where we are, right?
But we're missing 2 whole chromosomes.
But the weird thing is like, if you compare humans to other animals out there, like it's just weird. Like humans just seem too perfect. So I have a suspicion that there is a foreign or alien power that has been tweaking the human genome for some time. Because if we were to compare,
it's logical.
If we were comparing to monkeys and gorillas, like dude, like we look so different, and like, we're so much intellectually like overpowering than these other.
Not me. I look like a gorilla. I got mad hair on my chest.
I mean, that's that's what the specific genome tweaking.
Mean. Exactly. I mean, I'm sure you've heard like Joe Rogan, Billy Carson.
Right.
They've gone down that route of like the stone tablets. There's like ancient tablets with info on it that's like mind-boggling.
Right.
But I feel like, you're in the crypto community space.
Right.
You're around, I feel like a lot of, I mean, I'll go out and say it. I think the crypto community, Web3 blockchain community, you guys are higher, like you're more evolved, I feel.
Yeah.
And of course, they get a bad rep. There's a lot of people saying this scam, this scam. But those are the bad actors. Those are ironically, those are the apes who are still in that like jungle mentality. I'm just trying to get mine. I'm going to use this, manipulate this. But it seems like the fathers, the OGs of these communities, you guys are like evolving. Star Trek. You're on some Star Trek vibe.
Yeah. Like a lot of very wealthy people, a lot of very smart people, they get intellectually lazy. Like they stop learning new things. They're still stuck with what they believe in, what their history is about, and why they should they believe they think the world works in a certain way, and they're so stuck with that, and that makes them intellectually lazy.
Right.
For me, I'm an extremely curious person. I'm always learning new things, and at the same time, I think people in the early days of crypto, they're extremely curious people as well. They let their curiosity lead the way, or where the passion drives.
That's dope. That's a big driving force for sure.
Yeah.
And so that curiosity now leading back to cyborg decision.
Right, cyborg decisions.
Are you doing it? Are you going?
Have you heard of the mark of the beast?
Yes, I have.
I think Neuralinks or any kind of brain-computer interface is what they call the mark of the beast.
I have a lot of content that I've read and consumed that does feel that way, and I don't know what to make of it, because it seems like we're going to be in a very decisive position where you either sell your soul, like that's the big fear, right? You sell your soul for the chip, and you lose your humanity. And like even me and Armel, the producer of the show, we're talking about like something as simple as ChatGPT,
right?
Like one of my assistants, like we use ChatGPT all the time now, right?
Same here, yeah.
And all right, do me a favor. Here's my English. Can you translate this to Chinese, please?
Right.
And she goes, the ChatGPT gave me a bad translation. I can't do it. Right? ChatGPT can't translate it that well.
Okay.
I had the same reaction, but you know how to translate. You're a great writer.
Right.
You know how to translate.
Right.
So do it without ChatGPT.
Yeah, sure.
So then that's where me and Armel realize is like having that AI tool or assistant is going to make people either more dumb or lazy.
Right.
They're not going to use their brain. So now imagine we put a chip in.
Right.
At what point what's your thoughts and what's not your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I think that First of all, like it's like if we think about like 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 arguably kind of AI is one of the greatest invention of mankind.
I agree.
And the
I can't wait for like I'm just to set that straight. Yeah,
and
it's fire.
The founding father of deep learning, Geoffrey Hinton, he was saying like AI is the next best invention after the wheel.
Yep.
The wheel. Okay.
Yep.
And I think Andrew Ng, other very prominent Stanford AI professor, he says that AI is the new electricity. What that means is like in every electronic device out there, we'll be seeing there's going to be AI integrated.
Yeah, you can't avoid it.
There's just AI is going to be everywhere.
Right.
So now that AI is a new electricity, it comes down to your ability to use and instruct AI to do the things you want to do. Right. It's just like like what Jensen Huang was saying, like in the future we don't need to learn how to code. We just need to learn how to articulate what we want. Being able to articulate and communicate very effectively is just in essence is like it's just being able to transfer your thoughts, right, in a way that can be understood. Right. And that's still limited by language at the moment. Is there a possible day where we could just send our thoughts over and the recipient can understand exactly what we want out of it? I think it's possible, but I think there's going to be a lot of user interface challenges around that, and also there's also going to be along the lines of privacy considerations around that. Like wow, like a moment you can send thoughts to the other person without even moving your mouth or even showing any kind of physical gestures anymore to communicate. What that means is like whoever is transmitting your thought, you better make sure that service provider or that technology is as private as possible and can have your best intentions in mind.
That actually makes me think immediately to the classic Edison versus Tesla.
Right.
Like where you have one person who's trying to open source electricity and power, and then the other person is trying to direct current it,
commercialize
and commercialize it and own it.
Right.
And I think that's what people get concerned about because it's in this example, it's like, do humans have telepathic powers that they told us do not exist?
Right.
And then the bluff is science. And yes, we trust science, and we're seeing the proof of science. And now science leads to technology. So if we get to a point where technologically we're telepathic,
right,
but only if you put this chip in your head.
Yep.
So it's like they all of a sudden created something and they say that it only exists because we own it.
Right.
But does that subsequently prove that telepathy always existed?
Well, you know what? Like, I think it brings in the discussion like who are the creators and inventors of these devices that's going to facilitate telepathy? Like,
right.
Is it if we don't need if we're figuring out like maybe we figure out like humans are able to do telepathic communication without using any kind of electronic devices, then boom, we don't need any third party intermediaries in between.
They don't want that though.
But I don't.
Right. I mean, I know
they don't want that. The reason why they don't want that is because they want to make money out of you. And if you really go one step further, is the future society driven by capitalism or is the future society driven by altruism? Right. Because if it's driven by capitalism, then they're gonna make sure that you're gonna have the version 2s, the version 3 is gonna spend as much money as possible. They're gonna control you eventually.
Matrix.
Yeah.
Agents.
Right.
Do you think crypto, your community, blockchain, Web3, is that a hedge against that kind of future?
100%. Yeah, 100%. But it is a hedge.
Y'all are the Rebel Alliance right now.
Yeah, it is a hedge to a certain point. I feel like the biggest war in crypto is going to happen when Bitcoin reaches $1 million. That's when government owns a significant stake of cryptocurrency, and they will try to dictate where it goes. That's when I think the biggest fork our lifetime, the biggest decision point between the community versus the decentralized community versus decentralized community is going to battle it out, and this battle may cause Bitcoin to become to have zero value because this is the end of the biggest experiment ever. We'll find out.
Ooh, what a show!
Yeah, what a show!
What a time to be alive.
Right. So it's just like, as much as we like to believe that Bitcoin can last forever, we still need to understand, accept the fact that it's still like you can still there's a way to control Bitcoin. It's not impossible.
I feel you.
Right.
As we kind of go into closing.
Right.
I know we've been rocking. We could probably take this to 3 or 4. I'm sure.
Right.
I can tell you a brother
100%.
from another.
Yeah.
On a high note, how would you describe?
Right.
Let me see if I can phrase this perfectly.
Right.
How would you describe what gets you excited for the future?
Okay. We wanted to say this earlier as well. So I came across like this idea from a very controversial influencer figure, Tai Lopez. He's just like, you should live every day 50-50. What does it mean? You should live as if 50% you may die by midnight.
Whoa.
And you should live 50%, you can live another 50 years. And the moment you have this dichotomy between the two, you start thinking about the short and the long term at the same time. And you start treating your every single second of life as meaningful.
That's fire.
Just like a movie.
That's fire.
Right.
And talk to me a little bit about life in that zone. Have you felt what they call the flow? Have you felt God mode? Have you experienced some peak phenomena when you're at the top of that Maslow hierarchy and like everything is flowing, the gains are up?
Well, I've been through some euphoria of like making crazy, excess. But at the same time, I've been through some not so pleasant stages of losing those excess. So I would say what keeps me passionate and driven is my curiosity.
Always.
And as long as I'm curious for another new idea and curious for another new connection, I feel like I can keep going. Right.
And on that note, where's your curiosity now?
Curiosity now is to
leave us with a cliffhanger.
I'm really curious whether we can replay this memory right now. I'm curious. Maybe we can. Maybe we can access memory and replay this memory again.
Without recording?
Everything is already recorded in your brain.
Right.
And maybe I can switch. I see what you're going. I can switch.
I see what you're going.
And I can see me from your eyes. You can see you from my eyes. Right?
Oh, that's
something I'm curious about. Like, if I can replay this memory from different angles, different perspectives.
From Mel's angle over there in the producer chair to the
yo.
That's I like that. You left that on a cliffhanger, and I think for the rest of that, they got to go to ABS.
Yeah, ABS.
I bet if you haven't already, Andrew Fai, where can they find you? Hit them with the socials, everything to keep keep
it so simple.
I bet
abs.io. Put it on in Google. I'll see you there.
That's it. I want to go more into that. That's 100%. Crazy.
Yeah.
Basically re-accessing memories from different vantage points.
100%, man. 100%.
Oh, your conference is going to be crazy, brother.
Thanks, man.
It's great to have you, man. It's great to have you. It's been awesome. See you on the next one. Beyond the Hustle, hit that subscribe, comment, like, all that. We'll holler at you the next one. Peace.